I'ma never let you go. The lane, yeah, they took it at. Play too many games, don't want the same. This you never had. Hugging and you kissing me. This the way it's supposed to be. Ride lovers, ain't no cause to bang. Just wait and see. Problems don't want none of that. Call on me, I call you back. Ain't no need to tripping. Girls, just listen, don't take it there. Get with you, forget the rest. The other chicks ain't where you at. This is just a question. Are you ready? Look, you saying yes. You think you saying no? I'ma have to let you go. Will it be the same if we meet somewhere down the road? I just need to know. I just wanna hold you close. If you thinking about me, this is it. Yo, just sing it though. One more chance, baby. You just say yes. Cause if I put my arms around you, I promise I won't let go. I would stop telling you I know nobody ain't gon' know your body like I know your body. I'ma make you special tonight, so we'll never forget.
Call you Mrs. Mike. You can be my queen. Run like a live, baby. You the girl of my dreams. I need you right here, real close to me. I can be a homebody, no more running streets. No more Kims and Keistas, no more Ketas and T-shirts. Call you my thug, missus. You like Tims and T-shirts. Go harder than some of my niggas do. Have a shootout on the block, you pulling triggers too. Late night at the spot, and I'm missing you. Wishing you was here so I could be kissing you, licking you, showing you what the dick could do. When you not around, the look on my face is pitiful. Couldn't let you pass me by, so I got it to you. Not a race to the game, I let that got me through. If I got a whips and chains, she don't claim it like T-Pain. Nigga, she got it too. Sing it.
One more chance, baby, you just say yes. Cause if I put my arms around you, I promise I won't let go. I would stop telling you I know nobody ain't gon' know your body like I know your body. I'ma make you special tonight, so we'll never forget. One more chance, baby, you just say yes. Cause if I put my arms around you, I promise I won't let go. Peace to the room. Peace to you guys, and welcome to my space. I'm Just Eve, and today I really wanted to have a conversation about Plebiscite Island, but maybe not Plebiscite Island, maybe just what might seem like plebisciting to some people. And it is a land of wondrous things, a land of make-believe of sorts, a land where we can make up words and make them mean what we want them to mean. I'm talking about African American vernacular English. I threw in the jumbo an article that I saw, and I wanted to speak on it today. What is AAVE, and which words are non-Black people being asked to avoid? Now to the purposes of this space. This article was written 3 years ago, but I do think that it is still very relevant, especially when we're talking to people and we're talking about our story and who we are and what we're going through. This article talks about AAVE. Again, that's African American Vernacular English. And they're basically saying that it is created by Black people in America and it should only be used by Black people in America. It actually gave a list of words that other people are not supposed to be using. Words such as bae or boo or sus. Words like woke and ghetto, going off, to go off, dead ass, head ass, words like that. These are our words that other people have been trying to take over and use, but it always comes out the wrong way. We were having a conversation the other day about language and where it all comes from. And I think that there's a very real discussion about our role in language. And when I say our, I mean melanated people across the world. But then our role as foundational Black Americans in American English, because English is a language spoken by many people and not just by us in this country. You've got English, and you've got Australian English, and you've got American English. And then inside of American English, you've got Black people talk, nigga talk. You've got African American vernacular English. There's a whole scientific word for it. And I think that that's wonderful. But it makes me think,
that the reason we can take language and make it make sense for us and it doesn't make sense for other people is because we are the originators of the language. So, am I on Plebiscite Island today? I don't know. You can tell me. But I think that if Black people have been the originators across the world, then we are the originators of language. And these other people who got here after us, well, they took and bastardized the different languages. And then it was up to us to take it back and make it make sense. So, how you can say, "Are you good?" to the same person, or you can say "you good" to the same person. You can make "you good" mean 5 to 10 different things depending on context and tone. And I think that that's a skill that we have because the language is ours. And I really wanted to have a discussion with you guys to see if you agree or disagree. I don't know. I listen to Dr. Winters from time to time, and he talks a lot about the origins of language and where it comes from. So I think maybe some of these thoughts that I have are stemming from different shows and programs that I've heard him on. But at the end of the day, I think that just in general, the way that people have tried to bastardize woke, that in and of itself is a reason we should talk about it. You've got people using woke for gay stuff, and I thought woke meant that we were talking about Black stuff. But because we are not actually claiming things that are ours and we're letting other people into the conversation, well, now they can take and make the language mean what they want it to mean. They actually have done that with the whole dictionary. The dictionary is their way of saying we are the controllers of words and we are going to define them how we want to. And then it takes a very strong and small group of people to say, nope, we're going to change that because it doesn't make sense the way that you're doing it that way, and we're going to make it make sense for us. So when we're talking about cap, are we actually talking about a hat that is being worn on someone's head, or are we talking about something else? I think that that is ours, how we can take English and make it work for us depending on what we're talking about. In the article that I was reading, it said, if you're a white or a non-Black person of color, you should not use any of the aforementioned phrases. That's because these words mean more, they mean more to us than they do to other people. You've got people in the jumbo I posted, AOZS. She says that African American Vernacular English is just one of the many names given to the languages created by enslaved Black people across the diaspora. Okay, so let's just talk about how silly she sounds. African American Vernacular English was created by enslaved Black people across the diaspora. She also says, not saying it's not unique now more than in the past, but it didn't occur in American continent, but inside enslavers' boats. And I just think that that is part of the problem. You've got people who may or may not have melanin. I mean, the person who posted, she might have some melanin in her lineage somewhere, but she's definitely not us, speaking on a language that was created by us, telling us that it's not ours. Where they do that at? Actually, no, I know where they do that at. They do that here in America. All these other people come over here and start to tell us what things mean and how they work or what we're supposed to be doing. No, how about you stay over there, wherever you're from, whatever flag that is, and talk to them about their melanated people language that they discovered or made or created as a result of being subjugated by the colonizers. But they don't have that. Have y'all noticed that? I mean, they've got slang words. They got all sorts of derogatory words to call us different sorts of akatas. But, the slang, or at least the cohesion between the formal language and our language, it's not there. And I think that is due to our specific story. We had to exist with these people who didn't like us, didn't want us to exist, but we still had to be able to communicate with each other. Language is like tut, where we're literally spelling out the word so that you can talk to people and help them understand spelling and reading, but they didn't know what we were doing, even though we were using quote unquote their language. That's us. That is uh, an invention that we've been able to do so that we can communicate safely. And I just don't know where else they do that. So if someone knows, please come up and teach me about it. But as it stands, I don't know that I've heard about those stories. I know that when people come over here, they start to use our language, and then that's why we can't tell the difference between a foreign black and a homegrown black. But that is where we are. People who are very comfortable being around us because they look like us, and then they start to sound like us. They dress like us. They're eating our food. They're singing our music. And I'm not saying that we can't share. Of course, we can share, but you do know that if you don't claim ownership of something that's yours, if other people like it, that's what they'll do. The whole patent office was created because them people wanted to take ownership of things that were ours. And if they got there first, well, now they've got the ownership. I think that we're in a good time to take a lot of our things back. And inside of language, you've got people who might not speak good English. And I'm not talking about foreigners, I'm talking about homegrown blacks who you might think don't speak good English. But do they not speak good English, or do they just not give a fuck? Because I find that a lot of times they just don't care because you know what they're saying. And if you know what they're saying, then you're kind of being a dick. But maybe you're not. Maybe you just want them to speak better. I see that that happens a lot too. People want to understand in the most simple way. And if you are not speaking correctly, then people will say, "Well, you're so confusing. I don't know what you're talking about. It's so hard to understand you when you talk." But really, we understand. We're just being, I guess we're being an elevated person, wanting people to speak the language the right way. But is there a right way? Look, tell me, is there a right way to speak English, or is it if the people around you can understand you, that's good enough for you? Can I get somebody to come respond to that question? Because I find that that is where we have a hang up of sorts, where people will say, well, you're not educated because you're not using these big words that I'm using. But at the end of the day, I don't know if we're supposed to be using the big words or if we're supposed to be making sure that everybody understands what we're talking about when we're talking. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just jaded because I'm around people who don't care to use the big words that I use, or maybe I need to learn how to speak a little more simply. I'm not sure. I don't think that I'm the most complex person out here. I think there are plenty of people who can take that title. But I do think that in certain environments, our language could use some adjustments. But is it about that? Or is it about making sure that people understand what we're talking about? Or are you speaking in a way that you don't want people to understand what you're talking about because you're around people who don't look like you and you don't want them to know all of the pieces to the puzzle? Because that, I think, is a very valid point to make as well. So if you're just tuning in, on Plebiscite Island, I'm talking about how we speak. And does it matter how we speak? Because I think it does matter, but I think it matters who we're talking to. I don't know that you're going to be inviting everybody to the cookout if they don't understand the rules of the cookout. But a lot of y'all niggas invite people to the cookout because they brought a plate or they brought some silverware, they brought some napkins. So now they get to come eat off of us. And I don't know that we need to be there anymore. I think we used to be there, but in the age of delineation, I think everybody doesn't get a plate at the cookout, nor do they get invited to the cookout. But if you're letting people use our words, then they can easily start to co-opt our story. And these people are not family. They are not us. And they know it because when it's time for us to speak like them, they get real confused. Where did you learn that? Who taught that to you? I don't know how many Africans have been around who have been extremely excited to hear a white person speak in whatever their common dialect tongue was. But when a nigga starts talking like that, they get real offensive and real offended. And who taught that to you? And where did you learn that? And you can't speak like that. But when Billy is speaking like that, you've got such a good accent. And wow, you took the time to learn my language, and that floors me because not only are they not going out of their way to try to teach us these languages, but they're trying to keep it secret. But here you go, you come over to our country, and now all of our secret words and code words, they're supposed to be not off limits to you. You get the opportunity to use them because we just want everybody on our side. I dead ass do not want those types of people on our side. I would very much like for us to keep these people on the outside. But I mean, we're in an age where everybody wants to be friends. And like I said earlier, I think that the age of delineation is kind of reducing the friendships and the akuna matatas to a standstill. But the way that y'all are moving around these apps and these spaces, and we're just so nice to everybody and they get to do everything that we're doing, I think that that's a little bit unsafe. But I'm on Plebiscite Island today, so I might be here by myself. That is cool too, because again, maybe maybe you don't care how we speak. Maybe it doesn't matter how we speak. I see someone in the room that I'd like to come up and speak because she's actually had a few conversations with people who look like us but aren't us, and those conversations always are fun. Peace, Empress. Welcome to the stage.
Peace, Eve. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, sis?
I'm doing all right.
Look, so I was thinking about this conversation that I wanted to have with the family on Spaces about how we talk. And I find that code switching, is a big thing, in the professional world. And Black people have to start code switching if we want to be taken seriously. And you can't use certain things. You can't use certain words because, oh, they're going to know that you're a nigga. But they see that you are a nigga. So I don't know. But Empress, I know that in the past you've talked to Black people who you weren't sure if they were of the lineage or not, and I wanted to know if it made a difference in how you spoke to them.
Yes and no. Like, I mean, I think, and here's the crazy part about it. I think lately, within the past, this is my own personal experience, y'all. The past like few years, just us, me coming into just knowing who we are and everything about us, and just how awesome we are. I've taken away that whole need to feel that I need to be somebody else, right? That whole part of it is out of there because we're the coolest, right? People, you should hear how even white people try to come and be like, "Hey, bro," and all their little, which drives me crazy. But it's like we don't have to curtail who we are for these people because they want to be us. I think that when we do those things, it's kind of giving them this kind of weird superiority validation that we should change for them when really they're trying to be like us. So I may would have, as far as like in the professional setting, which what you were talking about, but like as far as suspected tethers, my language just changed where as far as like I'm not as freely speaking around them as I would with another foundational. That's for sure different. Um, but not necessarily like my speech. I think when you're talking about the professional, that's kind of separate than like people that we would associate with, outside of work, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, definitely. I find that more recently I might speak to a known tether the same way I might speak to a white person, just real basic, surface, superficial. I'm not going into any details with you about anything because you are not safe. But, if I see you out and about, I don't know who you are, then, I guess I'll try to read the room and try to figure out where you lie on the coon train or if you're even on the coon train or not. But I find that I find that AAVE in and of itself is problematic because African American, that whole term is problematic. I mean, Black vernacular English, Black American vernacular English. I mean, I guess I would be more comfortable with that because, just that whole African American thing, that'll have people thinking that they can use the language. And then they do it wrong, Empress. What word do you find is bastardized the most?
Well, the most popular word is woke now. I can't even say woke. I mean, I'm like conscious. Remember when people in New York used to always say conscious? I said we gotta take it back to that. But like y'all were saying earlier in Dewan space, so we gotta just put our foot down about some of this stuff. Like I start looking at these people awkwardly when they're talking to me crazy like that now. I do the whole like hablo sin glass kind of look at them because the way we you you talk bad about the way we talk, and then you pick up the words, and once you figure out how to use it, then that word is okay. Well, it can't be that way and then be that I have to speak professionally, because when you're using the words wrong, we'll just leave it and go. Remember bling bling, y'all? Remember white people started saying, and we just backed up off of it. We do that a lot, so we leave our intellectual property just laying around, and people just come pick it up, and then they'll put it in a song or they'll put it in their lexicon, and now it's like, what? You can't own a word. So I don't know. We should be more careful about that and stop just leaving our stuff around.
Yes, definitely. In the space that I was in with Dewan earlier, it's the culture is bigger than hip hop. It is very relevant to all of our conversations about delineating because we are a creative people. And I'm not saying that all melanated people are not creative people. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that here in America, our creativity keeps getting stolen. And if you don't say or do anything about it, then it's your fault. So I try not to be that person. I try to be a person who leads by example, or at least the stuff that I'm talking about, I try to make sure that I'm following up with actions. So having spaces like this and letting people know that African American vernacular English is not African American per se, but it is ours. So whatever, however you identify, if you are of my lineage, our lineage, cool, whatever. But this, how we speak, that's ours. And when other people start coming in and bastardizing the words or saying that woke means gay, because that really is my biggest issue right now, is that they can just completely reduce something that we've used to highlight our struggle, and then they co-opt it. All these people keep co-opting our struggle, but then they never want to give us the benefit that they get from backpacking or tagging themselves onto said struggle. So yeah, woke I definitely think is one of the all-time big words right now that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I mean, it almost leaves a bad taste like African American leaves a bad taste in my mouth, but there are so much more examples, so many more examples. Did you guys know that the different ways that we use emojis is also included in African American vernacular English? So when you see people clapping in between words, that's us. We did that. Why? Because you can see it in real time. You know that person that emphasizes their words with different claps, and maybe you feel some kind of way about that person, but it is us, it is ours, and other people know the effect and how strong our tone is. And people take, well, I find that you get taken a little bit more seriously when you have that type of swag versus, the Billy and Bob swag, the Sperry swag. It's not the same as the Jays swag. It's just not. Um, but if you don't own, or if you don't know, or if you don't take control over what is yours, well, then you'll have Joe Biden clapping at you on a public Zoom. Do y'all remember when that happened? I want to say it was back in 2020. Joe Biden had a Zoom with members of the Congressional Black Caucus, and he clapped at them. He basically told them, "You niggas ain't shit," like that. And he didn't say that, but that's basically what he was saying. And he clapped at them. And I was floored because not one nigga on the panel said anything about the disrespect. Because you can't talk to us like that. And you clapped? Like, what? Okay. Well, I guess that's where we are. You can't trust them old niggas. You really can't. Um, I want us to get.
Even the use of the word ain't, like, it's common now. You remember when you would get in trouble for saying ain't? Like when I was a child, I was getting corrected all the time for saying ain't. I hear everybody saying ain't now. People that are like white people all the way to foreigners. They're saying it, they're typing it, they're tweeting it. It's crazy to me because I remember that used to be a thing in school. It's not. Like you were very much being corrected over ain't, and now it's whatever.
It really is. It ain't, be, been. There's so many words that we were told was not correct English, and you have to speak the right way, and you have to do it this way. And now people use it as part of their common language. And I guess people aren't out here writing papers, Empress. It's not like they got an MLA citation or anything like that. But they know the difference because they were taught the same rules as us. But then they teach their children that it's a part of the language, and the kids don't know. So now they're using ain't, and they don't know the story behind how we had to make sure we're using the right contractions and will not, am not, are not. it's it's funny at this point, but actually it actually makes me think about how these children, they write and text talk. So in their papers and their essays and things, they will have BRB. And okay, they're not saying be right back in their papers, but it it's ridiculous like that. I've seen on point written in a paper. And while I understand that on point means that it's, it is what it is, it's good, it's a good job, it's not appropriate. Or is it? And that's where I'm having a disconnect, Empress. If we know what people are talking about, does it matter how we say it?
I don't know. I used to be of the thought that I don't correct adults. I'm like, if I get the message of what you're saying, I'm cool with that. I hate the grammar police. That I don't like that. But I think as far as guarding our culture and what you're saying, like even like the emojis, I'm thinking about like the gifts now. Like I heard somebody saying like even like if you use a gift with a black person, that's kind of like blackface. This all sounds very tedious and tiny, but the position that we're in right now, we got to look at all the things, everything from our culture. So I might be changing my mind about that. Yes, I might need to correct you because the way you're talking, especially if you're like some tether and you're trying to talk down to me using our slang, that's just crazy to me. You can't do that, and that needs to be called out.
Absolutely. And call it out, because they will try to tell us that we're being petty, but then they'll do the same exact thing for something that's theirs. I've seen so many different jollof rice competitions between the different countries where they all cooking the same rice and beans or whatever the fuck jollof rice is. I don't know. But they're all cooking the same thing, but it's supposed to be very special where you come from. So if you can do that for jollof rice, then you can understand that how we speak and everything else that we're doing, we're going to be as petty, if not more petty. Is it petty or is it necessary? I think petty might be the new necessary. I don't know. To other people in the room, you can definitely come up and speak on the topic if you like. If you don't, that's cool too, because really, I just wanted to let y'all know that how we speak is ours. And that if you keep letting people around you talk like us, then you can't be mad when nobody knows the difference between them and us. I mean, I'm mad about it because I feel like I'm saying something about it. I'm feeling some type of way. Did you know that that's ours too? Feeling some type of way? Some of this stuff is like, really? I mean, I've been saying that my whole life, but then I start thinking about it, and I don't know any white person that's ever said they're feeling some type of way until maybe recently. And then you start to think, well, damn, do they know black people, or has our language been co opted in general? And now everybody wants to sound like us. And I think that that is part of it. Everybody wants the black experience, but nobody wants to be a nigga. And I feel them. But I mean, life's not fair. You can't be me. So go be you. Go be the best you can be. But don't be me, or at least don't try to be me. Go off. Okay, that's ours too. Have several seats. That's ours too. Look, I'm just reading this list, and every single thing up here, I feel like I've been saying probably my whole life, and not because I was taught it in a book, but because I was feeling it. Some of these words you might not have been told this is what that means, but you knew what it meant because the people around you, y'all were on code. And we've been on code for a very long time, but probably about the wrong thing. I think that now we're trying to be on code about the right things, and some of the things that we were taught way long time ago, they're starting to resurface. We're having epigenetic memories in real time about what's ours and who it's for, and I'm all for that. So, Plebiscite Island, I can appreciate that people might say that how we speak and, what we're talking about doesn't really matter as long as people understand what we're talking about. But that makes me think that everybody shouldn't know what we're talking about. We should have safe spaces where we can talk amongst each other and we know what we're talking about. And these other people don't know what we're talking about. But we can't get there with everybody in the mix. We can't get there when everybody knows what these words mean or how they're supposed to be used. And even though they know how it's supposed to be used, it still doesn't come out the right way. Like I was saying in Dewan's space earlier, Justin Timberlake could never Chris Brown. I mean, he might go out there and try to Chris Brown, but he could never. And that doesn't mean that I think Chris Brown is this phenomenal entertainer. It just means that they can't do us, even though they try. Britney Spears could never Mariah Carey, and that's probably a horrible, horrible comparison because she could never anyway. But let's just say Britney had the vocal cords. She still could never Mariah Carey, and Mariah Carey only half, and she's also not us. But she got melanin in there, so there's that. I'm sorry, that's a segue into a whole nother topic, but to what I'm talking about and this topic today. When they try to do us, we can hear it. And it's up to us to say, no, no, that's not right. That's not right. Or, yeah, you did that. But that's where we are. It's a lot of us saying, oh, you did that. Yes, queen. No, 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 no. No, yes, queen for anybody who doesn't look like me or Empress. Can we start there? Especially if it's a nigga. I'm talking about a dude nigga, not like a anybody nigga. Okay. Maybe I'm being mean about that.
So then, so how do we have that conversation? Okay, so yesterday I was at work last night, and there was a white girl. She wasn't even talking to me. I don't know what they was talking about because all I heard was, I wasn't hip about that, and I just looked up like, what just happened here? Now that wasn't necessarily my conversation, but had she said that to me, like, what do I say? Because I do give the uncomfortable stare. I'm looking like, ugh, that's awkward. Like, but that's all I got as far as it, because I think with what we've done being so welcoming, we're to a point where I have actually seen comments saying like, well, you can't own a word. It's a word, but it's like, that's not it. The way that we speak, and you're explaining this to people that already know this. The way that we speak is ours. But we like we were saying in Dewan's space, we just find something new. They get a hold of it and we just be like, ugh, let them have it. But we've done that so much that they have this like indignation where they'll be like, well, it's just a word. But see, you didn't use the word like that. So my question to you, Eve, and everybody in the room, like, how does that conversation start when Ian walks up to me and he's like, "No cap." What am I, other than this awkward ass look that I'm giving him? What can our conversations be around that?
I love that question, and I hope that you appreciate my answer. Do what they do to us. What do you mean by that? I straight put it back on them. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Can you speak to me in a language that we all understand, please? That would help me out. Maybe you don't have to say it like that, but you can definitely act like you don't know what they're talking about because you don't know what they're talking about. What are you talking about, Ian? The cap? What cap? On your head? And I would play like that every single time, and they are going to hate it. They're Empress, you know what I'm talking about. No, I don't. Ian, what cap? You're not wearing a cap. You haven't worn a cap all week. I don't understand. Can you explain it to me? I would handle it like that every single time. Your hips hurt. What's wrong with your hips? You need to sit down. I would throw it back on them with the actual dictionary language of what they're talking about. You can't talk like me. I don't give a damn. You just heard me say woke. No, I woke up today. Yes, I got out of bed. That's what I did. What did you do today? I'm sorry. I'm cracking
Hilarious,
myself
but I
up.
like it. It's very practical, and I think I can do that.
Peace, Miriam. Welcome to the stage. I'm on Plebiscite Island this afternoon. I felt like I needed to take a trip here because how we talk, I go in these spaces sometimes and I get frustrated because sometimes I don't know what the fuck people are talking about, Miriam. And I don't think it's because I don't understand the language, but I do think I just don't understand some people. But it made me think sometimes I'm just being mean. Like I really could just do better and just sit and listen to them. I give the same courtesy to people who don't speak English because if you're a multilingual person, that's a whole process that people don't appreciate. I appreciate that. And if you're trying to speak my language, okay, I can try to listen to you. But sometimes these niggas, I just don't know what they're talking about, Miriam. And I'm like, speak better. But then I'm like, no, no, don't speak better. I know what you're saying. And maybe you're talking like that because you don't want these other people to know what you're talking about. So I paused and I took a plane to Plebiscite Island.
Um, when I came in, I kind of caught on real quickly, not just by reading by the title, but the question that FBA Empress had presented, and then the answer that you gave, that was perfect. I've been doing that for years. So, yes, I believe we need to do it on a larger scale because we're gatekeeping and we're protecting ourselves and stopping these people from emulating us, right? Like they want to take everything we do and even try to surpass us in it, not only imitating it, but want to surpass us and become even better than us at it. That's the true definition of immolation. So we definitely need to do the reverse psychology on real quick. Like, what do you mean? What's up? What? The sky? What you talking about? What you talking about? What's happening? I don't know. Will you complete your sentence, please? Like, you know, these people, and they will try you because they come over there and try to sister girl you or brother man you. So it's up to us to put that big ass hand out there. Like, no, do that reverse psychology on them.
When they try to fist bump, you put your hand out, Miriam. That's what you
Right.
say.
Like, what are you doing? It's not shaking your hand acceptable anymore. What the hell are you trying to assault me? My word, what are you doing? Yeah, I mean psychology. You gotta do it back. Because number one, it'll stop them in their tracks, and number two, it make them think, and number three, they'll realize what they're doing. You're cosplaying, and you trying to meet and greet me on what it is I'm speaking in my mannerism is somewhat a damn insult. If I didn't invite your ass, no, you're not welcome to do that. Because in a way, you're misdrawing me. And we've had enough of that blackface bullshit, right, family? So it's time that we make them understand and make them realize that. And Eve, you're being too kind. Talking about some the bilingual people or the people who are trying to learn a new language. You can learn one, but your ass better come correct. What you're not gonna do is start talking slang, ebonics, and or doing none of our mannerisms or our jargon. That will not be accepted. Cause enough. We tired of people getting too comfortable in our house, and it's time to start kicking people dead in the split end of their ass where the sun don't shine. Just kick them on off the porch. Just throw them on out. Act like the brother on Apollo. No, your shit is fake. You ain't right. You don't sound. You ain't brought nothing to the table. Let me get this kind of hook your ass on off the stage. No, you may not pass go. So yep, it's that time. So thank you, and I'll yield my time. I'll speak later.
Thank you, Miriam. Definitely Sandman, them niggas off the stage. I love that. But then you can't tell them about Sandman. Look, there's gonna be levels to what we're doing. And I love that. I love that we can relearn code because everybody talks about being on code. And really it starts with a look. If I can't give you a look and you know what I'm talking about, you gone. You too far gone.
Nonverbal cues. That's right, sis. Nonverbal cues. That is our language.
And y'all learned the look with your parents. I know you did. When your mama gave you that look or when your daddy gave you that look, you knew. So it starts there. But then, we grow up and we grow out of that and we start saying that I'm an individual person, I'm me, you're you. We exist in our own separate bubbles. And now our chain, all the different links are all separate versus them other people, their chains, they never come apart. So definitely definitely give that person a high five when they're trying to fist bump you or report them to HR because they tried to assault you. Because y'all know that they will do that to us in a heartbeat. You will know that you are not talking crazy to this person. You're just passionate or excited. And Mary or Susan will take your passion straight to HR and tell on you and say that you were being hostile. And it might not even have to do with them. Y'all could be talking about the boss and how the boss is being an ass. And both of y'all feel like the boss is being an ass. But because you are all extra animated, you're all turned up. You are doing the most right now, right? And they will take that straight to HR and say that Shaquana was making me feel some kind of way because, I don't know what she's going to do. She's just so angry. And, I thought we were just talking together, but, she just got so angry. And hell no, nope, you better take Mary's fist bumping ass to HR. She tried to hit me. No, I don't accept that. But do it with a straight face. Don't do it like how I'm doing it right now because I would have to practice that. So if you're like me and you goof too much, please practice that before you go to HR because they might try to get you telling on Mary. Okay, Empress.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say, like, and you really piggybacked on her point. Miriam made a great point. I know we're laughing and joking because it seems ridiculous, right? But Miriam and Eve just made a great point. Like, it is like trying to minstrel us. Like, why are you communicating with me like that? Do you think that I communicate? Are you trying to like come down to my level or something? It's insulting. It's insulting to my intelligence. It's insulting to my culture. It's insulting to my people. And we should not be afraid to say that. To piggyback on what Eve just said, because they absolutely would do it to you. You're not going to walk up to a Jewish person and do an L Hitler or some shit like that. You're not going to do that. I'm going to tell y'all a story. So y'all know I work at a restaurant, and the same waiter, his name actually is Ian, but Ian ain't on Twitter and he don't follow me. So Ian's very white, but he likes hip hop. But I think Ian's racist. He just likes hip hop, right? If he could make Eminem the king of hip hop, he would. So he had a table, and it was a family. The person whose birthday was I guess he was the patriarch, very older black man, and this fool says to him, he's like, oh, whatever, whatever, and the birthday boy and the entire family, the whole table it's just get like they're out. Oh my god! So he runs over to me and like confesses what he did, and I move away from him because I'm like, oh well, look, I don't know you. Like, oh, that's what you did. I was like, wow, yeah, because that's highly offensive. Why would you do that? And do you think I'm about to save you? I'm with them. We might all whoop your ass in here. An older black man, and you're talking about some birthday boy. Now in his mind, he didn't mean to be disrespectful, but their reaction was perfect, and mine, based on theirs, piggybacking off of it, was perfect. If they would have went to management, I would have backed them up. Like, yes, culturally, that's disrespectful to my people, to my ancestors. That how could you? Oh my God, flabbergasted. I was shocked. I didn't laugh. I didn't do anything. I took it as serious as they did because I know what it is, and what y'all are saying is absolutely right. I know we're joking, but this is how serious that we have to take these things because this is our culture, and it's an insult to our intelligent and our ancestors.
Not Ian ran to you and confessed. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he was like, "You won't believe this happened." I was like, "What you coming
Man,
in
lightning
here
was about to strike. You said not next to me. Devil behind me. Not today, Satan. All of that is ours. All of that is ours. All of
for?"
that
All of
is
that stuff.
ours. Man. Uh birthday boy. He knew what he did. He knew what he was doing. The same way Joe Biden sunned 50 Cent a couple years ago. The same way, what didn't LL Cool J just get sunned live on TV? I mean, this is not foreign to these people. They push and poke and see what is going to stick. And if you don't say anything, this is like the white person saying nigga or nigger, you know? If you allow it once, well, now you've opened the door. And I'm not saying that you can't have made a mistake and then, or maybe you didn't hear it the first time they said it and then you heard it the second time and you said no. But they will say, well, I've been saying it, or such and such said I could say it. Well, now me and such need to have a conversation because you not supposed to be out here talking like this, not expecting to get these hands. And I don't have hands. That's not my job. I'm just saying that you might get some hands laid upon you if you speak like that. So definitely take that into consideration when you're speaking. But uh, we have a swag that these other people wish that they had half of. And when we start telling them what things mean and we start allowing them to use these words, it's like what Miriam said. It's like what Empress just said. They feel or they had to come down to our level. So in the same instance, they will say, Eve, you speak so well. Well, what the fuck does that supposed to mean? I mean, I speak the same English as you. I don't understand how my English is any better than yours. Or are you trying to say something else? Because 9 times out of 10, they're saying something else. I've never heard any white person refer to another white person and say that you speak so well. I've never heard that. But I have heard it more than 10 times. And I'm sure it's more than that. But I've heard it more than 10 times for someone who looks like you or me. So I know that that's done on purpose. There's a reason for why they say it like that. And if there's a reason why they can say that me speaking English so well is this feat, this accomplishment, then, well, now I'm going to hold you to it, Mary. I might turn up, but you can't. You better get rowdy or something else. You know,
I get rowdy.
there is no ratchet for you. You have trailer trash. That's your ratchet. Own that shit. That used to be what we called it. Y'all used to really not like that stuff. But now everybody wants to be hood or wants to have some hood in them. No, no, you don't live in the hood. You live in the trailer park. And if you live in the hood, well, you better learn how to move different because it's a new day. I'm talking big shit right now. No, really, in real life, I promise that if I hear people talking crazy, I would say something. I don't know exactly how I would put it because a lot of times I hear people talking and they're not talking to me. So like Empress just told us about the white girl talking about cis and hip. I don't know if I'd interrupt that conversation, but I do know that if she started talking to me, I'd very much act like I don't know what she's talking about because I don't know what she's talking about. I'm not your cis, and I don't know what's up with your hips, but you might want to get that checked out. I don't know. Go ahead, Miriam.
Indeed. j- like I said, definitely do the reverse psychology. And when you present things, you definitely have to be even killed because they take any form of excitement or passion. They say you're being aggressive. If you um, do better than them. Endings was just talking about this, or Eddings was just talking about this in another space. She was just talking about how she's exceptional because she has to be exceptional. Because if she's getting awarded for something, like she just got an award for her class being the best in how she taught, or her teaching technique that she used for her class, and she say she's happy on one hand, but she also got her eyes open, and that side eyeing Mary and Becky because she know it's coming. Oh, well, this wasn't like this and that wasn't like that. The nitpicking starts, and any and everything that they can use against you, they would try to do it because they're so jealous, and the inferiority mindset kicks in, and then they want to get vindictive because they have a whole thing with about being embarrassed, right? It don't have to be true, it don't have to be factual. It's all about their embarrassment, and you can have a ton of truth videotape and everything on your behalf, but it's about their embarrassment. They want to do laws by their feelings when it's them. Two sets of rules, two sets of laws, and we know how that works because we're dealing with systemic racism. And then you get into all the other cultures that have assimilated these people too. They think because they are at ethnic group of some sort, or they feel like if they're melanated, that they have the right, or you know um, just the proximity, so they have the right to use these words. No, you don't. You're not of my culture. You're not us. So therefore, no, you do not get to use these things because you're belittling me, you're disrespecting me, and at the same time, when you get ready to cosplay me, you do it with vitriol, you do it with hatred, you do it with envy, you do it with jealousy, and you do it to undermine me. So there's no way I'm gonna excuse a Ghanaian, a Eritrean, or a Jamaican no more than I would excuse a Mexican, a Chicano, a Latino, a Puerto Rican, or a German, Italian, a Jewish person, or your average so-called white American or Anglo-Saxon, as they like to be called. So you don't give a pass to nobody around the table. And there's no more invited to the cookout. Now, for those of you, I can't speak if you have that married into your family or whatever. That's on you all, and you deal
You
with it
better bring him a
accordingly.
plate.
But I'm
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
but yeah, we have to like put our guards up because it's too much, because it's a whole movement out here, unspoken assimilating movement that's out here that is used by tools of suspected white supremacists to erase us, because they want to be us. They hate us, but they love everything that we represent as far as our culture, our intellectual properties, our inventions, the very rhythm, the way we move. If these people could skin us like chainsaw or Silence of the Lamb and wear our skin, they would. And oops, too late. They done that in the past too with medical experiments and other things. But yeah, we really do, as Empress FDA Empress pointed out, we do it with class, we do it with ribbing, we do it with laughter, but it's a very serious thing. Why? Because that's the FDA way. That's how we move, that's how we roll. And some things, like we say, we have to stay so codified on, and some things just have to be discussed in private and off these apps, because they watch this to learn it. They could pop in anybody's recording at any time, and they sit up there with their white think tanks and their assimilated tools think tanks, and they use everything that we do, because we are the rhythm, and we are what the whole world, their humanity, their identity, and everything else, no matter what they picking and choosing and extracting out parts of who we are as a people. It's almost like looking at a big ass game of operations. And I'll yield my time.
Eve, I have another question. So what do you think about us always telling people what stuff means? How many tweets have y'all come by and it'll be some, either somebody that's the melanated person or probably a white person? They'll be, what's the biggest ones, like what's FBA? But even besides that, right? Any kind of our words, that we're using, and somebody be like, what's that? What's that? And it'll be somebody just running to the comments to tell them what it means. Y'all gotta stop that. Y'all just have to stop doing that.
Definitely need to stop doing that. But I think on this app and these other apps, we need to pay attention to the people who run Tell That. Those are the people that we need to be paying attention to, because they are going to run Tell That. They're going to tell everything about everything. Everything is not for everybody. It really isn't. And these other people feel the same way. So you being the magical Negro, I mean, you really are a dangerous person to be around. So when people start acting differently around you, it might be because you talk too much. Um, I want to say it's in the 48 Laws of Power. Number 4 is about talking too much. And I have all sorts of thoughts about the 48 Laws of Power. But if you are familiar with them, then just know knowing our story, meritorious manumission and such. I think that we can use it for us, and it doesn't have to harm us. But we have a traumatic memory of getting kudos and trinkets for telling on each other, because that's what they conditioned us to do. And if you tell, then you get something. So you've got people who want to be that dictionary of sorts. They want to be the person to tell and break the code for them so that they can get trinkets and benefits in the future. Those buffer Negroes need to be handled in a way that is suitable for the grand population of foundational Black Americans. I don't know if I could have said that any better, or if I said it really bad. I don't know, but they need to be dealt with. And the best way to deal with them is to identify them, because you can't really be out here just chopping off heads. I mean, I guess you could, but you probably shouldn't. But if you don't know who they are, then you can't do anything about what they're doing. What I would see, Empress, is in the chat, I used to see, what's B1? What's that mean? And I'm like, I don't know if this is the place for you or not, but let's just see how this goes. And like Miriam was saying, these people can pop up in these spaces, in our spaces, because we're on their platforms. So if we can't talk in a way that has them scratching their heads, then we probably shouldn't even be using the platforms. But the way that they've been able to study us, it's really, I guess it would be a moot point to say that we can have a code if nobody's using it in the real world. The only reason that people are using our language is because we use it in the real world. So we would have to take what we're doing online and put it in the real world, and then you would see things start to change. I promise you, if Billy or Susan starts to talk to y'all like how we talk to each other, and y'all talk to them how they talk to each other, you will see an immediate change. They will, I don't know what got into Shaquana, but she's different. Can't do that stuff around her anymore. And really let them talk about you like that. Let them know that they can't pull that shit with you. Because if they think they can, well, now they're touching your hair and trying to get you to try uh, potato salad with raisins in it. And I just seen a comment in the chat or in the comment boxes that's Black Ruger says, I'm not even bringing them no plates either so they can copy our ingredients. Absolutely not. And look, they can't do it. They can take something and try it. It's still not going to come out the right way. So they can try it. They tried it. You know, that's ours too. Tried it. Okay. Just so that y'all know, we have to start claiming this stuff. I know that you think that it's simple and that it just makes sense and you've been talking like this your whole life, but when Susan is talking about turning up at bingo, there's a problem. And when Johnny is talking about turning up at the Jason Aldean concert, that's a problem. Joe Biden clapping at the Congressional Black Caucus members, that's a problem. We have to do better. And to Empress's point, if you see people trying to tell people what things mean, make a note of that because that person is not your friend. I like people. There's my our minis teacher. He's very much a person who is only going to tell you what he knows after he knows that you know it. And I like that about some people. They're very much gatekeepers with information. And I think we need to get back to that. Not that we need to have gatekeepers keeping us away from what's ours, but we need to have gatekeepers that keep what's ours ours. We need to have some sort of defense. And it starts with you. It starts with us letting people know that you can't do that. I don't know what you mean. You're not saying it the right way. So, the same way that if somebody pronounces your name wrong and you won't respond, you need to do that when they're talking to you in a way that doesn't make sense. And trust me, these people will start to treat you differently. And maybe you don't want to be treated differently, but I do. The status quo is some shit. We really need to fix it. But, maybe I'm just on Plebiscite Island. I don't know. Go ahead, Miriam.
Indeed. As you were stating, we are long past this looking for acceptance, looking for inclusion, looking for the pat on the head, looking for butter biscuits, unless you are ops, a coon, bootleg sellout, okay? If you're coming from our lineage. Because other than that, you should not want these people to feel comfortable with, like I said, saying the words in which how we use it and what we're using it about. Because as we all three of us on this stage have pointed out, it's to denigrate you, it's to undermine you, it's to say they're scooping down to your level as if their intelligence is any greater than yours. And we know we beg to differ because we know how smooth we have to be. So it's getting back to that. It's getting back to understanding what the code is and being codified and knowing how to implement it. So therefore you wouldn't be moving outside of, oh, I'm gonna be skinning and grinning in these people's face and trying to make them feel comfortable. I'm not saying don't be cordial or don't be polite. That's just, or be courteous. That's just, that's within social, being social and being a human being. But don't cross the line. When Becky's standing there or Natasha standing there trying to hold a conversation with you, because let's think, let's get into it. Keisha, Natasha, Latanya, Tanya, we think these are our ethnical names. These are actually Russian and German names. Hmm. So when they get to talking about and making fun of our very names, and things of that nature, they do everything with a joke. They do everything to undermine us. They do everything underhanded, and then they want to smile in your face and make it look like, yeah, I'm just fitting in, yo, bro. It's just right. Oh, peace, dude. Yeah, I'm cool. I'm being cool with you. No, you let them know, no, it's not cool. It's not cool at all. And who are you shucking and jiving at? Because remember, a jig is a Irish dance. Specifically, they say when a nigga do the jig. That used to be a term that the Irish used to use. So, or dancing a jig. So it's just expressions and things of that nature that ties in, that goes into. But that's, you get that when you study our history and our interworkings with each ethnic group. Okay, white people have ethnic groups too, because they have their Italians, they have their Scottish, they have their Irish, and so forth and so on, and even Jewish. They say they're not white, but yes, they are. These are their ethnic groups. And then you have melanated ethnic groups. But there's only one um, people who have lived under and culturally identified as Black, and that's foundational Black American descendants of chattel slavery, freedmen, Negro, whatever acronym you choose to use, you know doing well what I'm talking about. I'm not going to go through all that. It's FBA for me. So we have to understand that these people have launched this type of warfare on us, and they use words. But who is the greatest wordsmiths there are? You may have pushed forward your so-called thesaurus and dictionary, but no one does language the way we do. We the ones create multi meanings, a whole other I won't say necessarily genres, but whole other um lexicons, if you will, to what they call English, or the language. Hell, your average American don't speak English. It's far different from a person in England. So even they speak a form of slang of the so-called English or the King's language. So yeah, but they use that, the plebiscite, to come into our communities and think that they have the right to babble and try to educate us on us being us, or anything related to our struggles, anything related to our history, our culture, our food, our style of dress, our fashion, any of our contributions. Then they try to downplay it, and they just downright disrespectful for it, or about it. And we really do have to like reverse that. Like, you get no pass. We give no else, because it's not an emotional thing. And if you try it, just know that we're going to stop it, and just be even kill about it when you say it. Articulate yourself without doing it with passion, without doing it with emotion. Because the minute you do, they want to try to use that against you. Although we just are animated, beautiful, creative, rhythmic people. But know when you're in the face of your enemy, you can't move that way. And that goes for these foreigners too. These damn Chinese, they will cry that you did something. They would straight up lie and say you hit them and all type of bogus shit. They just as worse as your average white American. Because remember, you're in a systemic system of racism. You're dealing with white supremacy on multiple levels. So, yes, and that starts with them interloping. Interloping means for someone to come in and to take that which is not theirs, meaning a person culture, going into a person's history or inventions, all of that. That is interloping. And that is what these people have been doing to us for well over 500 years. Because remember, a lot of our ancestry is indigenous to this continent, to North America. Okay. And then some of us, and so much, or I won't say a small minute, but a percentage of us come from chattel slavery. So we are a unique phenotype. And then of course, there's a little European in there because rape did happen on this continent soil. Long before there was identifiers given out with the race and to identify you as a group of people, or such, that was done by this government. And race came into it because of the government, and they got into identifying. That's why they gave us so many different, um I won't say names, but what we identified as: Negro, Black, African American, Black American, when we always just identified ourselves as Black, because we understand that it's a whole and it's universal for us. Other people don't consider themselves Black. They know they have melanated skin, but they say what they are for whatever region that they live in. So let them keep that same energy. Well, you can't just own it. It's a color. Well, Negro is means Black in Spanish. So well aware of that. But what are the only three races that really exist on the planet? Negro, ne- Negro or Negroid, excuse me, Negroid, Caucasoid, and Mongoloid. And all other races, or I mean, all other ethnicities fall under those three races. There's no other races. And now these people want to say that they want to be their own race. No, you are ethnicity under that race. And remember that identifiers only came about, and it's a thing, it's what white supremacy used in order to control. Because remember, Italians wasn't white 100 and what, maybe 100, 105 years ago. They weren't white. Neither was the Irish, and neither was the Jewish people, or the so-called Jewish people. So we have to remember that. And so when they come in our face trying to be a living caricature, or cosplaying us right into our face, being a walking, moving minstrel show, reverse minstrel show right in front of our face, we don't need that, and we won't accept that, and we will not allow it. And I'll bow my time. Thank you.
I say we just go back to P Funk, Miriam. We just, you dig
Say
what I'm
that.
saying? You know what I'm saying? We need to go back to that, because at that time there was no way you could hear a white person talking about, "Hey, Foxy Mama." They would sound ridiculous. And if we all just started talking like that again, we make a clear distinction tomorrow.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. Um, before I close out the space, problematic things. People who like to tell everybody what things mean. There's a book, came out in September. Historically Black phrases from "I ain't one of your little friends" to "Who all gonna be there?" Came out in September 2023, so a couple months ago, by Jarrett Hill and Travell Anderson. And I just wanted to play a snippet. Hope you guys can hear this. The book became a dictionary of sorts, a way to look at what these phrases mean, their origins.
Interviews in the book with like 12 different people. And one of them is with Dr. Ann H. Charity Hudley. She's a Stanford linguist. And we dive into kind of the history that's associated with the structure that is how Black people talk.
And that structure is not just about words. Body language comes into play too. Case in point,
Don't say that. The look that your mother gives you, that she don't have to say nothing, right? And I think one of the things for us was really about, like, we wanted to talk about how important and valid and legitimate our way of speaking, while also doing it in a way that's, like, approachable.
I just want y'all to know that that was a whole man. That was a Mr. Travell Anderson speaking. Y'all couldn't see the video, and I don't want to really post it, but you can check it out. It's called Historically Black Phrases from "I ain't one of your little friends" to "Who all gonna be there." If you just type that in, you'll see this interview that I played for you. But Travell is a they, them. So there's that. And I think a lot of times the people who want to run and tell that, the people who want a pat on the head, are people who are Black last. These people don't really care about our story. I don't know if Travell is foundational or not, but I do know that the people who like to uncodify and tell everybody what things mean. A lot of times there are these people who want to be known for being something other than black. So while they're grifting off of being black, and for what it's worth, I think that if you are black, you should be able to make money off of your blackness. If they're going to target you for being black, then you should be able to use that target. So that's how I feel about that specifically. But as he's grifting off of being black, but not wanting to be black, I think that there's something to be said about that. And again, I don't know that Travella is foundational or not, but I do know that once you start identifying as more than one person, there's a problem. Okay. Um, if we can have black sign language, did y'all know that black people have their own sign language? And I'm not talking about black French people, melanated French people, or melanated uh, Nigerians or whatever. I have no idea what their sign language is like, but here in America, black people have our own sign language. And it doesn't mean that there aren't correlations and similarities between American Sign Language and Black American Sign Language, but there is. Okay, yeah, there is correlations and there is things that make it ours where it's codified, because how you talk at home is not the same as how Jenny and Susan's parents talk to them. It's not. And if we can understand that for people who can't even hear my voice, then we should be able to get back to the look. We all know the look. Travell just told you he knows the look too. That's why he wants to tell everybody about it. But no, Travell, no, no, sir. We're gonna have to reel you in, reel y'all in. Is that how you would do that? Y'all, they, okay. Let me stop. Go ahead, Miriam.
Thank you for that, Eve, for exposing him. Because to me, people who do that, you're like you said, that's grifting off of the culture. Because off of our lineage, our very survival. Why the hell would you uncode our languages and how we speak and our mannerisms? Like I said, that's our own unspoken language. That's um terminology meant for us. It's an insight thing. Every culture have their own lingo. If you're not part of that culture, you didn't live as that culture, then you're not welcome to what goes on in that culture. So why are you um um Palestine explaining to these people, or Kunasite explaining to the world on how to further um encroach upon our people? That is insane to me. So yeah, we have to these bed bucks and bed wenches, we're gonna have to really reel them in. We're gonna have to really um do storm with emails, storm with whatever their platforms are. We have to make them understand that the people who cutting your checks for you, and even if you're supported by the Skittles community or whatever it is, they're not bigger than who we are in our voices. And we're not just gonna take it. We're gonna counsel your ass. See, that's something worth being counseled for. And they want to say council culture, but no, a person like that needs to be real thin. One thing about the Jewish community, you are not going to say nothing half-ass sideways that they even believe to be offensive, let alone something revealing and telling who and what they are and how they move. What fool does that? What fool fillets their people um on the chopping block for their oppressor? That's insane. But yeah, shout out to both of you, wonderful sisters, for saying that we first and foremost must expose people who run and tell that, who run and want to always want the pat on the head and get kudos for explaining something to someone who's outside of our lineage, who has no business with even definitions of that lineage, and checking people who be in our FBA spaces, Negro spaces, Freedman spaces, checking them accordingly, because we already know in COBA is a loss. That's a ops. Um, most ADOS is a loss. It's a wash. They ops. So I don't care. I don't care how no one feel about it. I said it, and I'm not taking it back. because it's true. Prove me wrong. So but we really have to start checking in the spaces, like when brothers and sisters want to do a teachable moment. Number one, you're not a master teacher. Number two, you don't get stop explaining what it is we're doing. I can't stand when they do that. That angers me so, but to each his own. And I do give pushback on that, and I'd be like, I don't think we should be educating someone. Well, they honestly don't know, they're ignorant to it. That's not our place to educate them. If they can't educate each other, and 9 times out of 10, their asses already know what it is that they're inquiring about. Um, that's not my place to teach them. Pull up a dictionary, go study your people action against my people, and then you will have a true understanding. That's not my place to teach you. And I'll yield my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Miriam. I know that I've been talking for a little while about if it's necessary to interrupt people's thoughts when they're talking in a way that they shouldn't be talking, but I think that I've concluded that it is important that we do that. Maybe you don't have to interrupt them, but when they finish talking, maybe you just don't understand what was said and you get them to explain it in English, the way that they would be looking at you crazy if you tried to turn in a paper that had all Ebonics on it. And it wouldn't even be that they don't understand it. They just are being some kind of way. So, you don't have to be that way. You could be another way. The book that I just told y'all about, it's so damning. There's a piece of the book called Lookin' How You Lookin', and it goes into pronunciation. It lets you know that it's phonetic, so how you see it is how you pronounce it. It goes into the translation. Your appearance is your appearance. It goes into usage, and this is where I have an issue. Most often, a nice, nasty, yet socially acceptable way of expressing ambivalence toward or disappointment with someone's appearance or presentation. Tone is important, since this phrase is likely dripping in sarcasm. This is a more respectful version of looking any kind of way, which is just nasty, no nice. So these two fellas are really diving in. They're not only telling people what it means, but they're telling you how to pronounce it. They're letting you know that there's a certain tone that comes with it. They're explaining the look. And, white people know the look too. They know that look where they do some white people shit and the black people around them give them that look. Y'all know the look. And they know the look too because they've seen it long enough. But it doesn't mean that anybody had to sit there and explain it to them. They know when white people are doing white people shit because they started to say it. I'm not that type of white person. I'm the other. I'm the one that uses washcloths. I'm the other one. But in this book, damning. It's damning. Here's the example that they use, and tell me if you heard it. While home for Christmas, Charles saw his high school ex for the first time in 8 years. Surprised that his ex wasn't as fine as he used to be, all Charles could say to try to be nice was, "Look at you, looking how you looking." Did y'all catch that?
I did. That's in the book.
That's in the book.
Oh wow.
So, I think it matters when we're talking about people defining things because even in the definition of things, like how did you make that gay? Like, I just don't understand how
And
nothing
why?
can
That's
escape
crazy.
gayness. Like, it has to be everywhere. Is that really what we're boiled down to? Is a bunch of gay men explaining our language away? And nothing against gay men other than what I have against gay men. I'm just saying, like, do you have to tell everybody what everything means? And I know that all y'all aren't like that, but Travell and Jared, I don't know if Jared's gay or not, but Mr. Travell is definitely gay. And Jared, I don't know if you're gay. Did y'all have to do it like that? Because at some point you said, yeah, that's it. That's the move right there. That's on the money. And you went with it. I have issues when you guys are doing things like this and then having reviews such as this perfect blend of explanation, definition, and social commentary will have you laughing while learning. That's from George M. Johnson, another gay Black American. Don't know if he's foundational or not, but gay Black man living in America, talking about how this book is necessary and how you will it'll be a riot It'll be a hoot. Look, that's what you need to be talking to Susan about. It was a hoot. You know, they weren't whiling. They it was a knee slapper. That's where you're gonna go. Um, Maybe I know a lot of white phrases. There might be something there. If you
You
need help with
write a
your
book.
white terminology, please let me know.
You should write a book. Get the terminology together.
maybe
You can have
maybe I'll write a book. That's a move, Empress. That's a move.
Right.
Um, so I appreciate y'all joining me this afternoon for Plebiscite Island Talk. I hope that you join me, join us next time for the next time that I have a thought that I want to talk to y'all about. At the beginning of my space, I played a song. I hope you liked it. Um, I think I'm gonna debut it on the Pick Me podcast. But if y'all don't like it, maybe you got some music that you want me to use for the intro. I'd be open to suggestions, and actually, I guess I've already started receiving some things. So shout out to y'all who want my podcast pop. If you, Miriam or Marilyn, Empress, if you have any last thoughts, you can get those in now.
I just wanted to say this was an awesome space. It was fun, but it was very necessary. Even in this short time, you touched on a lot of things. We are at a very critical stage, y'all, and it is all hands on deck type situation. Yes, we are so dope, and yes, we are so lit that people are just literally woodpeckering us, like every little thing that they can cipher out of us. So it is important for us to gatekeep everything, right? Our music, our culture, even down to the way that we talk. Because if we keep letting it slide and we move on and make a new word, people are going to just walk around and pick them up because we're just leaving them. So no, not even if we don't use the words or phrases anymore, they're not allowed to. I think that this was very important, and I'm so glad that you had this space. And thank you for letting me speak. Shout out to you too, Miriam.
Thank you, beloved. Shout out to you back. Both of you wonderful sisters. Shout out to you, Sister Just Eve and FBA Empress. Miss T is in the house. Shout out to you, beloved. Um, Definitely. My goodness, you hit the ball. You hit the nail on the head, so to speak. Um, Back when Paris Hilton was sitting up there talking about she coined the word hot. How the hell you gonna coin that's hot when that was used in all of hip hop, just used period in our lingo, and it's just it amazes me, um, how, but then it doesn't, but it's almost looking at a train wreck in front of you and you can't turn away, but yet you want to throw down the arms and stop anybody else from running into it, that these people are doing, um to us and about us, and like you said, creating another word, and just abandoning what we created and moving to the next. We can't do that because we're learning, um with that, when we did it with hip hop and all the other genres of music that we created, right? No, we have to demand respect from people, and no, you're not, and just like you're just not allowed to use our lingo, because for the simple fact that's too important. That's really getting to the gush of really trying to erase someone, because then they can manipulate things even further. um into that, and it's always these him, she, them, they, her, and it, people that comes around and being the worst lackey and the worst mascots for white supremacy. These tools that go around and really do a lot of damage to us as a culture, and they think they can get away with it because they're gay. No, you're not going to get away with it because you're gay. You're not going to get away with it because you're a man, woman, or whatever you consider yourself. If you're part of this lineage, even if you're not, you're going to be held accountable for your actions. And we're going to make sure that you won't be able to practice in that manner that will do harm onto us. Um, no more. No more do you get to eat off of us while doing atrocities and committing cultural heinous acts against us and against our people. No, nobody getting to prosper off our backs like that anymore. So we definitely have to call out all these turncoats. We definitely have to call out all these so-called new age. They give anybody a platform and a microphone, or put money behind anybody that's going to denigrate us. This erasure effect of denigrating us as a people, of stealing our culture. So they got the machine behind them that's putting hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars behind them. So we have to support one another, whether it's word of mouth, whether it's showing up on each other platforms, whether it's hitting like wonderful documentaries like our brother Nasheed, Tariq Nasheed, Microphone Check, and our wonderful brother, Dewan B, is bigger than hip hop. We must throw our weight behind that which that matters, because this too stops a lot of this foolery that's going on out here, and we must, because it's like we're in triage, and they want to put just a bandage on us and pet us on our head and tell us we're okay, but they want to send us out with a broken leg, but they telling us we're okay, get up and walk out the emergency table. So it's enough with that. Enough is enough, and thank you. Wonderful, wonderful program.
Well, thank you both for joining me this afternoon on Plebiscite Island. Look, I don't um I'm harsh sometimes, but I feel like I'm getting better. If I've ever grammar Nazi'd you, I apologize. I didn't really mean it. I do mean it, but I didn't really mean it. I hope you understand what I mean. But I do think that we can speak better. We can speak to each other better, and we can say less. If we can get back to our body language and paying attention to each other, then we don't really have to say much. And the people who don't know, well, that's a person you need to pay attention to.
Yep, that's a Chicago lingo. Say less.
Well, there you go. See, I don't necessarily know where all I get these words from as much as I know I've been saying them my whole life for the most part. I don't think I've been saying ratchet my whole life, but
Well, I
that's
ain't trying to hold you. It's DC. We've been saying that for like 30 years.
like
Just so y'all.
I'm
So
just
glad
saying,
it made it to the
right?
lexicon. I'm just like, oh, look at DC coming through. I ain't trying to hold you. I was like, okay, we finally got here.
We made it. No, okay. That's ours too. Look, every time y'all say something, it's probably going to be something that's ours. Just know where it comes from, because when these other people use it and it doesn't sound right, it's not supposed to sound right. But if you given them invites to the cookout because they tried it, well, you tried it. Um, if you want, sometimes I have thoughts. I post these thoughts on my YouTube. That's in the jumbo. It's just Eve on YouTube. You can follow me there if you like. And if you don't like, you can just listen to me on Spaces. Black first. Jumbo. It's just Eve on YouTube. You can follow me there if you like. And if you don't like, you can just listen to me on Spaces. Black first.